Here we are again. It's Sunday, the 24th of March, and I've been itching to do this video or this particular subject for a video for quite a while. My wife told me the other day what I need to do is I need to take a field trip. And so that's kind of what I did. So I want you guys to follow along with me as I drive a little bit north of where I'm at here to go to a coin show today. We're going to talk a little bit about coin show etiquette and what to do and what not to do, as well as a few other little things that people have brought up to me. So, hopefully, you guys are going to enjoy this. I do appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully, you guys get something out of this. Here we go. So, as I pulled out of the garage this morning, it was looking like it was going to be a pretty nice drive at about 6:30 this morning as I rounded the corner and then obviously made my way down the road. Got myself up onto the interstate. Everything was looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden, as you move further north in Wisconsin, you can't help but run into a little bit of snow. And it got a little hairy at times to the point at which I thought maybe I should turn back. But the further north we went, up towards the Green Bay area, everything started to clear out a little bit. We wound up making it just fine to Appleton, where they were just getting ready to open the doors to the Fox Valley Coin Club Coin Show. Before we get too far into this, let's just cover a couple of things because everybody knows that there's all sorts of shows that you can go to. I mean, heck, you can go to car shows, you can go to dog shows, you can go to a horse show, you can go to a fashion show, a boat show, an anime show. You can even go to an anime car show. Well, how about a camel show? Yeah, that's right. You can actually go to a camel show if you want to, but nothing really says fun to us in the numismatic community more than a good Sunday coin show. Number one on the etiquette list is one that most everybody should know by now. And really, it is probably the most important of all of the etiquette that there is. And that number one important etiquette piece of advice that I can give you is bring cash. Without a doubt, cash is king at a coin show. Dealers like to work with cash. They like to work with it when it comes to making deals. It's easier for them to work with rather than a credit card or a debit card, which can cost them fees, or a check that can actually go bounce, bounce when it comes to cashing it at the bank. Number two on the etiquette list, whatever you do, as you approach dealers' tables, don't ask for an in depth education about something unless you know that the dealer has time to be able to talk to you because they're there to actually make transactions and sell coins and paper money and stuff like that. And the other side of that is whatever you do, don't also give an in depth education because there's an awful lot of people that go to coin shows that do have a lot of knowledge in their head and they want to spread that knowledge around, and that's good. But getting into a good, long, in depth education with one of the dealers behind his table while he's trying to work just doesn't really make a lot of sense. This is one that just kind of confuses me because we're all taught from a relatively young age that we're not really supposed to interrupt people when they're talking to somebody else. But at a coin show, that goes right out the window. I've seen it numerous times where I will be standing there looking at or talking to the dealer about a particular coin or coins. Someone else walks up to the table and immediately just talks right directly to the dealer to get their attention to look at something in another case. And it's really frustrating because the attention is between the dealer and myself, and I understand that time is of the essence when it comes to certain things, but really interrupting other people just isn't cool. A couple of other big ones in my book when it comes to coin show etiquette, real simple. Don't lean on the cases on a dealer's table. Don't push down on them while you're looking in the case. I've actually had this happen where someone at the opposite end of the table, where I was looking at coins in a dealer's case, they leaned on a case at the opposite end, and in the process of doing it, pushed down just hard enough that my end of the table actually came up towards me, which caused quite a bit of problem with the coins in the case that I was looking at. Obviously, the tables that they have at a lot of those shows are just simply folding tables, and they're not the strongest that there is. So, along with not leaning on cases, is also not reaching into a dealer's case. In other words, if the case is partially up or propped up and open, like a lot of dealers do at some of the shows, do not reach around that opening and pick out coins just because you want to look at them. You always ask for permission to look at a coin before you ever pick it up. Now, that's different if they have some coins out in two by twos or something like that that are in a book or in a box right there for people to go through. That's completely different. It's inside the cases that we're talking about here. What you really should do is always ask a dealer to look at a coin, and if they feel comfortable letting you pick up the coin after they open the case, they'll let you know and they'll tell you. Otherwise, you simply just let the dealer pick up the coin for you, bring it out of the case, and put it on top of the case so that you can look at it from there. Once you're done looking at that coin that came out of the case, if you decide it's something that you want to make a purchase and you want to try and see if you can get a little bit better price on it, be polite when it comes to making those offers. And whatever you do, don't be rude with the offer, meaning don't offer him 50% of what he's got it marked, because usually that's just going to negate any deal that you're going to get right there. And it's just simply rude from that standpoint. So my suggestion is start at 10 or maybe 20% off the price that he has marked, and see if you can work yourself that direction. And that gives him a little bit of room to be able to maybe meet you partway in the middle. Now, here's the other part of that. Let's say you don't come to an agreement on the price that you wanted to get for it, or that he was hoping to get for it, and you give the coin back to him. Whatever you do, also be polite in finishing that portion of the transaction, meaning you walk away from the table not mumbling under your breath or saying anything to him like, yeah, good luck getting that price, you're just never going to get it. That's just rude and completely unacceptable. It was kind of nice today to go around the Bourse floor of the show that I was at in Appleton and talk to a couple of the dealers that I've seen at other shows, and actually just kind of bounce a few things off of them in terms of what they would consider coin show etiquette. One of the dealers I talked to is a really young guy by the name of Brandon, who he had a nice display of coins. I gotta give him that. There's no doubt. But one of the other nice things about it was he took the time to sit with me and actually chat a little bit about coin show etiquette. And the one thing that he said that really stuck with me, that was something I didn't even think about, was people standing around and chit chatting or talking to other coin buyers or coin friends right in front of his table, thus not allowing other people who may want to look at his coins to be able to get to the table. And I really didn't think about that. But you know what? In a crowded, cramped situation in some of these coin shows that I've been to, I can see where that would definitely be a problem, because some of those aisles between tables and the rows of tables can get rather tight. So try and be polite when it comes to understanding that the dealer's tables that he has are pretty much what he's trying to work with, and you don't want to clog it up any more than you want to clog up the entrance to a supermarket, for example. Now, this last one doesn't really relate to the coin show buyer so much as it relates to the coin show seller. And I'm not picking on all sellers here, because a lot of sellers are just upfront and very honest and very good to deal with when it comes to things. But I witnessed something today at the coin show that I really have to kind of talk about here. And one of my Facebook friends actually mentioned this to me. He says, how do we recognize a dealer we may not want to deal with or that we shouldn't deal with? Well, I witnessed one today, and I'll be here to tell you right now that this is something that really shouldn't happen when it comes to a dealer. He was handed a coin by someone else who was sitting at a chair right next to me while I was looking through his cases, and he was talking to this gentleman who had handed him a Morgan silver dollar. And this Morgan silver dollar was in an old ANACS slab, and it was basically a soapbox slab, and it was graded AU50. Now, the value that the dealer was looking up on this particular coin was obviously more than he wanted to pay. And it was a $2,100 value in the AU50 that it was graded in. Now, what the dealer did next really shocked me. He basically handed it back to the individual and said, well, that coin's cleaned anyway. So, it knocks it down a grade or two. So, you look at it right here. And he showed him basically the gray sheet that he had. And the gray sheet showed $2,100 for AU50, but, the XF version of it was only $450 or so. And he just didn't feel comfortable giving him $2,100 for a $400 coin, is what he said to the guy. Now, that's wrong. I don't care what it is, but if that coin is in a slab, and I'm not saying all coins are graded accurately in the slab, but obviously, most coin companies, ANACS being the oldest of all of the coin grading services, knows what they're doing when it comes to a cleaned coin versus a not cleaned coin most of the time. But there is absolutely no way that this particular coin was cleaned. The dealer just didn't want to pay the amount of money that the man was probably looking for this coin. So he basically told him his coin really wasn't worth what he thought it was going to be worth. And that right there tells me that I don't want to do business with this particular dealer. Now, that leads me to one of the last interesting points that I have here, which is you should stand around and listen to what's going on and the interactions that's going on between the dealer and the buyers, and spend a couple of minutes at a couple of tables before you make a large purchase from a particular dealer to see how they interact with the other people in and around their particular table. Are they attentive to them? Do they pay attention to them? Do they answer their questions? Do they listen to what the customer is actually looking for? Those are all really important things when we go shopping for things like furniture or flooring or anything like that. And they should exactly be those exact same things when it comes to when we're shopping for coins. And those dealers sometimes think that they know everything. And in this particular situation, they definitely did not know everything. After that gentleman actually got up from the table and walked away from the table, I followed him a few steps away, tapped him on the shoulder, and I said, hey, can I take a look at that coin for a second? And when I looked at that coin, there was absolutely 100% no way whatsoever that that coin had been cleaned. I had a friend with me who's also on my Facebook page. His name is Roger. And Roger actually used to work for Heritage Auctions. So I called him over and I said, hey, Roger, take a look at this coin. You want to give me your opinion as to whether you think it's cleaned or not? Roger looked right at it and said, yeah, there's no way that coin's cleaned. So that dealer really needs to learn how to do things differently when it comes to that. So that's pretty much it when it comes to etiquette going to a coin show. I mean, there's other things too, but the number one rule here is simply just be nice, be polite, don't be obnoxious. Definitely be respectful of not only the dealer, but all the people around you and the other buyers, because, yeah, you're distracted. You're looking at bright, shiny things in cases. But definitely be respectful of everybody's bubble so to speak, if you want to call it that. Now, again, I do also appreciate you guys following me and subscribing to me. So don't forget at the end of this, if you really liked this video and you learned something, hit the like button, please. Also, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that when I do put out some new content, you will be able to be one of the first people to come view it. So I do really appreciate everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, you've learned something. Have a good rest of your Sunday afternoon.